For this blind review, this is actually going to be a brand that I've never had any experience with before. Now, as we go through this, I was quite confident that this was from the Bardstown, Kentucky area. Wasn't right on the distillery, but it is interesting that the area has its own flavor profile that's almost detectable. I'm also going to say the C word quite a bit at the end of this review. Curious what we're talking about? Well, stick around. So thank you for joining, Whiskey Friends. Let's kick off the show. Hello again, Whiskey Friends. Thanks for joining, everybody, for another blind review. Today's blind sample is being provided by Todd Ritter over there at the Bourbon Road podcast. Be sure to check out the Bourbon Road wherever you listen to podcasts, and also check out their really cool website. Whiskey reviews, community features. I've been pretty impressed with what they built over there. All right, so let's open our top dog box here. We've got 8 samples in here to choose from. I'm going to go with a A3 for today's pour. All right, so we're going to pull that out. I'm going to close the box there. And then I am going to find this label so that I can show you a preview of what we're about to go through. We'll then go through the nose, the tasting notes on the palate, and get into the reveal, and we'll learn a little bit more about this bottle together. All right, so here is what we are getting into today. So I'll turn that label slowly so that you can see it. Hopefully the camera's doing its thing and focusing in for you. And that is today's blind review. Now, for context, I have absolutely no idea what any of these are in this box. Todd actually sent me a collection of 16 samples to go through, and Marty the Bourbon Nose is going to be giving me some as well. So looking forward to changing it up between the Bourbon Road and Marty samples. All right, so we're pouring that in there. Now I've got 2 ounces to get through. I'm going to pour 1 ounce in there for the blind, and then I got another ounce there to explore once we actually know what the reveal is. I also like to do it in a black Glencairn like this. That way I have no context of the color, the legs, anything like that that might sway me. So cheers, everybody. Let's get into the nose. Ooh, this one's got some good fruits on it. I always get excited with the fruits, but it's got me smiling and dancing already off the nose, so you know that's a positive sign. Some good coffee cake on this one. With the fruit profile I was talking about, like combination of apples, raspberry, even the skin of a white peach. Tell you what though, the crumble that's on top of a coffee cake with the cinnamon and sugar crumble, man, that is leaping out of this glass. Spicy undertones too. Maybe it's high rye, but there is definitely a good spice and bite underneath that. I've been trying to get to know the oak profile. It's not coming across old nor young. I'm going to guess somewhere in that like 7 to 8 year range, but not getting a explicit oak from this. Good first impressions. I mean, off memory, kind of reminds me of the Evan Williams 250th, but I don't think Todd would send me that back to back in a blind. So to summarize, on the nose, going to go with 8s across the board. Like the flavor, got good complexity there. Nothing that's really going over the top to get into an 8.5 or 9, but we'll take solid 8s and a solid start. All right, let's get into the taste. Cheers, everybody. On arrival up front, it has a dark profile to it, which again, I'm not getting that more explicit oak, so that dark profile is surprising me a little bit. It leads with like a darker cherry, a little bit of a nuttiness, kind of like a crunchy peanut butter that was covered in chocolate. It's like some nice vanilla up front too. Man, this has me awfully intrigued. So on arrival there with all those initial flavors, really, really digging what this one is doing. Gonna give it an 8.5. The other factor in this is the viscosity. I mean, it is nice. It is nice and oily coating. Really, really getting curious about this one. As we lean into it more, Heaven Hill or Jim Beam, I'm kind of like narrowing in on Bardstown, Kentucky area. On the transition to the finish though, it does brighten up and it does take its foot off the accelerator a little bit. Leans into more of this vanilla custard kind of a range. and I'm starting to get a little bit more of an oak profile than I was initially talking about as it's opening up. On the transition here, still digging the flavor profile. Not a lot of complexity going on in that to kind of pick apart more, but what it has going on is really good. Let's see what we think about the finish. Finish really leans in to its oak profile. I'm still thinking 8 years, but the oak is starting to really come through on this one. Man, there's a ton of cherry, getting chocolate, vanilla, and a little bit of that nuttiness again. Described again as a chunky peanut butter almost. Length of the finish, though, just okay. It doesn't like fall off a cliff, but doesn't linger for that long. And what's there is mostly just the vanilla cream and cherry note. I am going to go 8.5 on the finish though. While the length of the finish, I'm just going to put it in 8. I do like the flavors. And in the end, I mean, that cherry note is kind of the highlight of this whole thing. All right, let's see how this all netted out on the scoring system. So here on the channel, we do have a robust scoring system comprised of a flavor score, experience score, and a value score. Aggregate all 10 metrics behind the scenes, and you end up with a final score that allows us to compare this to other whiskeys that we've tasted. Now, on this, we cannot rate it on value. We don't know what the bottle is yet, so we do give it the benefit of the doubt on these blind reviews. And this one scores very well in the high 80s. On this one, I appreciate its flavor profile a little bit more than I do the overall experience in terms of its mouthfeel, complexity, or the length of the finish. But the initial flavor blast is wonderful. The chocolates, the peanut butter, the vanilla, the cherry, and that oak profile that did develop as we got more into it was all quite delightful, quite lovely, quite delicious. So let's get into what we were drinking. All right, let's go into here. Chicken Cock Single Barrel Bourbon. Bourbon on the Banks Single Barrel. Oh, that was really good. You know, I've never had chicken cock before. Oh my God, I'm going to say the word chicken cock all the time now. I've never had chicken cock before. All right, so pour L. Let's get some more stats on this one with our handy envelopes. All right, we got pour L. I mean, Todd really went into this here. All right. This bourbon tastes like I'll be texting you later. I think all of them say that. All right, let's see. Let's read this together. So, chicken cock reserve cask single barrel, bourbon chosen for Bourbon on the Banks Festival. I was 1 of 5 on the pick. 7 years, 130.8 proof. Oh my God, I would have guessed like 110. Oh, I'm glad I didn't say any of that out loud until like right now. $80. Look at that. So, 70% corn, 21% rye, 9% malted barley, distilled at Bardstown. So not Heaven Hill, not Jim Beam, but I did guess it tasted like Bardstown. Something about that town that has a taste to it. All right, let's find a bottle of the chicken cock here so that everyone is familiar with the label. All right, so sharing screen here. Here's a whole bunch of chicken cock labels, but I think the one that we're looking for, at least that's most similar, is going to be a bottle that looks like this. That's a pretty good looking bottle, I'll be honest. I really do like that glass. I'm looking at some background information on Chicken Cock here. It's actually saying they were just acquired on August 4th. And Chicken Cock was a part of Grain and Barrel Spirits. Grain and Barrel founder Maddie Antilla joined Next Century Spirits board and is expected to remain involved with the brand. That's interesting timing there. That was just a few weeks ago. Man, I'm learning a whole bunch here. So chicken cock dates back to all the way to 1862 in terms of its first public origins with that date, though its original founder, James A. Miller, was actually distilling all the way back in the late 1830s. So this brand has a whole lot of history. During Prohibition, chicken cock was associated with Canadian-produced rye sold in distinctive sealed tins. You know, I've seen chicken cock in tins these days. Okay. So I'm starting to put things together here. Whiskey in a tin can. After repeal, chicken cock returned to the American market, but the brand gradually lost relevance and had essentially disappeared by the 1950s. And then Maddie Attila, who we mentioned earlier, brought the brand back around 2011. And then they tried to turn it into that premium whiskey brand that I'm more familiar to, starting in 2018. Which has been when I started really seeing it on the shelf. Man, that was an interesting context there. There's a lot going on with chicken cock that I didn't know before. So, what do you think of chicken cock? What releases do you have? What do you think of the brand? Let us know in the comment, and we'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody.